actually afternoon.
What's up, guys? It's TJ from here.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm privileged, if that's a real word. Privileged?
Dramatic.
That is
That
dramatic.
is very dramatic.
Okay, that is dramatic. Okay, cool. So, I'm happy. That's better. I'm happy. I'm with these two amazing superstars. She's probably going to say that's dramatic as well, but it's not. So there are certain people that come on my training program and they hit the ground running. So I wanted to get them into the office and I wanted to have a conversation and I wanted to find out what they've been doing that's different to other people and why they're achieving results that other people are not achieving in a shorter space of time. So we're going to spend some time finding out their story, how they were able to secure their service accommodation unit using the rent-to-rent model. If you don't know what rent-to-rent is, you guys are missing out. But in a nutshell, rent-to-rent is really simple. You find a landlord or an agent or a developer and you say to them, you want to rent their property with their permission, you want to re-rent it out to other people. And this is what these guys are doing over in Birmingham. But I'll let them introduce themselves and then we're going to get straight into giving you guys the real juicy information. Go.
So yeah, my name is OKOMA. I guess I'm a property entrepreneur.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
So yeah, me and my wife, we both invest in service accommodation, rent-to-rent service accommodations, and yeah, we got our first unit back in the back end of January.
Okay.
And yeah, it's been going good. It's been going well.
So he says it's been going good, and as you guys know, I don't hide all this stuff. It's not perfect. And no matter what anyone tries to make it sound like, it's absolutely not perfect. But we'll spend some time talking about the ups, the downs, the mistakes as well, so that anyone that's getting into this specific strategy will know what they need to prepare for.
Hey guys, I'm Marinika Okoma, or Nikki, and I'm also a property entrepreneur. Yeah.
Do you know what I find interesting? Most people are kind of cautious about how to title themselves. The fact is, you guys are property entrepreneurs. The fact is, you've taken an idea and you've run with the idea. Now you're making money from the idea. Yeah, you're an entrepreneur.
I think we have to deep it a bit more.
Yeah, okay. Do you know what? It's fair. So would you say, how do you feel calling yourself a property entrepreneur? And I'll tell you the reason why I say that. Because most people, before they get into property, they have this idea that property or the industry is kind of reserved for a certain group of people or a certain type of person. Yeah. But now you guys kind of realize that property as an investment or as a business is available to pretty much anyone, right?
Yeah.
So you guys came to one of my events. Yeah. So that would have been the introduction to service accommodation event. Yeah. Okay. So I want this to be as honest as possible. And I always get scared when I say be honest as possible because this might be a setup. They might have said, TJ, we've got some great stuff to say. And then the camera's on and they're like, TJ, you are annoying. You're da-da-da-da-da. So walk people through what happened. You came to one of my, what we call the breakthrough, the introduction to service accommodation event. Yeah. And how was that for you?
Can I answer first?
Yes.
So from
clearly you can see who wears the trousers.
Sorry. Because the thing is, we had different perspectives of concerning property.
Very different.
So Ezego is very much like, I want to do property, I'm into it, blah, blah, blah. So he dragged me to all these like different introductory courses. And at every single course at the end of it, they'd basically ask you for some ridiculous fee amount of money to start or buy this training, buy that training. And I thought, do you know what? This isn't accessible for the average person. Okay. So when we came to your course, I was already like, here we go again. But it was different because I felt like you were very relatable, and because of that I thought, do you know what, I might step into this, but yeah. So
okay, what was your experience?
So yeah, like Nikki said, I've been to a few. So I've kind of been around looking at what free content, looking at whatever I could basically get my hands on. I think the main thing for me that I didn't see in anyone else that I saw in you was just the honesty. I think the transparency was on a different level because you basically said everything and more that everyone else had said. So the whole escorts, the parties, no one really gives a perspective of the service accommodation into that.
So did I mention that at the introduction?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did.
Yeah. So I find it interesting because this is something that I talk to my team about and I talk to different trainers about. there's no point teaching people about a specific strategy and getting them all hyped up about all the positives in that strategy without the negatives.
Definitely.
Because the truth is, as much as I generate an income from you guys by charging you for training, I want you to succeed.
Yeah.
So there's no point of saying, hey, come on this training course. It's the most amazing thing since sliced bread. And then you get on it and then you find out that it's a complete, utter nightmare.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly,
And, but that's what I was skeptical about. Like, I wasn't going to spend any money if it wasn't, serious.
Yeah.
Because I assume the fear that you have is you pay for something and then you find out that it's not, let's say, suitable for purpose. It doesn't actually work for what you want it to work for.
Exactly, yeah.
So how do you guys feel calling yourself property investors now? How do you actually feel? Does it do anything for you? Does it get you excited? Or because you've only just started and you've only just got your first unit, you're waiting to get 10, 15, 20, 100 units?
That's me. Like, I feel like the opposite. For me, I'm like, do you know what? Let's wait a bit. Let's calm down on the titles. Let's not do too much, But I know you're also like, yes.
Yeah, he's probably changed his profile and everything's already property investor.
We actually both did.
Okay, so you're equally as guilty as well.
I am.
But the reality is you are a property investor.
I think I was already kind of thinking in the mindset before I had done any deals, before I had done anything. But what solidified me was obviously getting my first deal and making money from it. So the confidence went from here to here.
Yeah.
So for me, it's, I'm already.
So you did your training in December. I actually thought you did it in November, and that's still kind of a record achievement for me as a trainer.
Yeah.
But you did it in December,
Yeah.
and you picked up your first unit in January.
Yep.
So in around, now obviously I might say this to make myself look greater, but I say this, December is kind of half a month.
Yeah.
That's the truth. December is half a month because people close for Christmas and New Year.
Yeah.
So, look at the way I justify it to me. So technically, you picked up your first unit in, I would say, less than 20 days.
Yeah, but that's fair enough to say.
Yeah, around 20.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's about, let's even say 30 days.
Yeah, about 30.
Yeah? Okay, so 20 and 30 are different. But it's okay. So let's say 30 days.
Okay, yeah.
So you did the introduction training. You thought it was good. You believed that it's something that I could teach you how to go further in, which is why you committed to the training.
Yep.
Then you did the advanced training, which was a whole day training. And we were here for the whole day.
The whole
I know
day.
Marinike was falling asleep.
The whole day.
Yeah.
Guilty.
I used to feel bad about that when I see people falling asleep, but I no longer take it as disrespect.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. I'm actually so sorry.
No problem at all. But the most interesting thing is we were here for the whole day, and you got so much value and so much content that you felt confident enough, because I was on holiday when you messaged me to say, hey, we've picked up our first unit. Yeah. And I genuinely thought it was a prank. I'll be honest with you. I genuinely thought it was a prank.
Did you?
That's the God's honest truth. I thought, okay, they're just trying to get my attention, and they're just trying to, not in a bad way, in terms of maybe you needed like some questions to be answered or so and so.
Okay,
so you're just like, hey TJ, we've got some deals coming out, but it was TJ, we've tied up our first deal. I was like, you sure? Are you sure? You're like, yeah, we've just tied it up. I was like, okay, give me more details. So I was asking questions to find out more details, and you said we've got something in Birmingham. Birmingham, in my opinion, is a hot area, and you guys can probably testify to that, because you said something earlier on. So you didn't expect it to do as well as how it's doing.
No.
So how is it doing?
So it's doing quite well in the sense that, for example, when we had put it up, within the first couple of hours, we already had about 4 bookings, and those are literally for weekends.
Yeah.
So all our weekend bookings were gone. But it was from that point that we clocked that, okay, it's because of the location of where it is. Yeah. So it's pretty much near Broad Street, if you know where Broad Street is. And there's like a strip of strip clubs, pretty much like...
Yeah.
Clubs.
Wow.
Not strip clubs.
Maybe that's why you get a lot of customers.
Well, no, okay, it's not strip clubs.
They're not strip clubs.
They're not even strip
There's no
clubs.
strip clubs.
No. There's nightlife, basically.
It's nightlife, yeah, nightlife. So there's
a couple of
restaurants
clubs,
and bars.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where I was, but yeah, so...
Strip club, oh my gosh.
Do you want to answer the question?
No, you carry on. Okay, so it's in a good location.
It's in a good location,
So
yeah.
how important would you say, I know it's your first deal, but how important, just based on the sort of figures that you're seeing, based on the amount of bookings that you're getting, how important would you say it is for people to kind of understand the location and base things on the location that they're of the property that they're taking on.
I think it's very important because I think no matter what client you get within your apartment, there's got to be something about the location that kind of draws them to it. Even if it's a restaurant, if it's a museum, if it's a library, something that will draw the client to basically want to stay there and also explore the area. I think it's essential.
So what about yourself? So you guys tied up this specific property and you felt this one would be the one that works for you. Why Birmingham? Because you don't live anywhere near Birmingham. So you guys live over in Kent on the border of London. But you've now got a service accommodation that's running itself all the way in Birmingham. So a lot of people say to me, I want to get into property. I want to get into service accommodation. I know it requires some work. But the problem is I live here. I've seen a good deal over there. I can't get into the business because it's so far away. And I spend a lot of my time saying, if you know what you're doing and you put the right systems in place, it can actually work for you. And you're seeing that happening. So how are you running your service accommodation business hours away from where you actually live?
So it is really, really straightforward. And like you said, it's just about putting in place the correct systems. You need a human being, and our human being is our cleaner. So she is literally the person who does the cleaning. She'll check if there's any damages, if there's anything that needs to be tucked up in terms of like teas, coffees. She does all the laundry, all that kind of stuff. So she does all of that. In terms of finding the guests checking in themselves, they use a system called Keynest, very well known. So we give them a code once they book. They go to a location, so like 5-minute walk from our apartment, get the keys, and they're in. That's just literally it.
So you mentioned Keynest. So let's give Keynest a shout out, actually. A lot of people make excuses. So they make excuses. In fact, people pay for training and then they still make excuses because that's just how we are. We're always looking for something to justify not taking action. What is it that motivated you guys to say, okay, I've got to do something about it? I'm sure you both got different reasons and different goals. I'd love to hear what your reason is as to why this was a must for you. What was it that forced you to say, hey, I've got to get into this property business and I've got to start right now?
If I'm going to be honest, I think for me, property has been something that I've been very interested for a long time. And I think one of the things that you talked about in your introductory course was, the 300k problem.
Yes.
So it was literally...
It's actually up there, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, is it? Yeah. So literally, typically if you're going to buy a property to let out, you have to save for a deposit, and then you have the legal fees and all this kind of stuff, and that takes a while to save that deposit. And where I was, there was no way I was going to save that in a decent amount of time to get a property and start making decent returns. So the rent to rent strategy, the moment I heard about it, I was like, cool, this is a game changer, because I can have a fraction of the deposit go straight in and start making profit. And I think that was the main thing for me, because I had always been trying to find out, okay, how am I going to get into this? Because the obviously the end goal is to obviously earn and own property that's in our own names and our company's name, etc. But how are we going to start? And this was just the perfect introduction. So the moment I found about it, I learned about it, I was like, okay, that's it.
It's interesting you mentioned that. So yes, I do talk about the 300k problem, which in a nutshell essentially is what you've just said. If you want to get into property in a decent location that gives you a good income, you've got to find a property that's valued around 200,000 to 300,000, and you've got to put down a 25% traditional buy-to-let deposit. So that's 50k to 75,000 pounds. If you don't have that money available, in the back of your mind, you say, well, I can't do this. And then you push away from the goal further and further and further, because you're saying, where am I ever going to get enough money to get that one property?
Exactly.
So what I teach essentially is there's nothing wrong with owning. In fact, that's the aim, that's the end goal. But if you get into a system, or you create a system that allows you to increase your income so you can save more quicker, but it gives you an income to live your life and have comfort as you want to have, so you can eventually go and buy. What was your reason? Because again, you both had different reasons. What was your reason as to why you needed to get into property and why you pushed to get into service accommodation?
I think first of all, like, we invested in the training, so there's no way we're going to pay X amount of money and not do anything with it. That's just a waste of time and waste of money. And I think number two, it's like what Ezeko said in terms of getting into property, but getting your foot in the door with an easier method, if that makes sense. And knowing that, for example, with like all the legalities and stuff like that, knowing that you're not there yet per se. So getting your foot in the door, I think it was, that was the reason why.
Yeah. So would you recommend to people to attend the introduction training?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good introduction, literally.
Yeah, literally.
But I would also recommend going to different introduction trainings, because
Yes.
I feel like from there you can really pick out what you feel like the particular trainer can give you that's different to another trainer, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
absolutely.
And what you kind of not connects to, but what you would need to learn, or what suits your suitability.
But it's
more.
interesting. Sorry.
So,
Yeah. Go on.
and also just to add to that, actually, I think a good point you actually just made was the fact that if you go to different trainings, you can get a better picture of who
Yeah.
you're more inclined to.
That's what I'm trying
because
to
not
say.
everyone gives the full picture. Like I said, I've been to different trainings. I could have paid X amount of money for
XX.
this person. X.
Lots and lots. Yeah.
For a particular trainer.
Yeah.
But because I had been around, I found, okay, cool, I've seen these guys, this person who's giving me what they've said, but also added. So yeah, always have a look around and see who you like.
I think that's really important, because this is the thing that happens to a lot of people. You hear about one thing, and if you're a certain type of person, you say, oh my God, this is me.
Yeah.
But you haven't explored
That's it,
the entire market.
Yeah.
And that's so crucial, and it's
Yeah.
important. And then you guys explored a few people, and you settled on me.
Yep.
So you explored some other people teaching different strategies. So why did you decide to work with me?
Again, it was literally just the fact that you said everything they said, but as opposed to glorifying it and make it in a way where it looked too good to be true,
Yeah, yeah.
there was a level of realism to it that was very realistic. This is how much you can make if you do this. This is what happens. This will happen.
Yes, it will happen.
One of the things that's happened to us already.
Yeah.
You know, we're actually going to talk about that next. Yeah.
And
So
sorry to cut in, but I think another thing was also your price. I feel like your price is really important for me, because it wasn't overpriced, and I felt like, okay, this is a price I'm comfortable to pay.
Yeah.
Especially with what I've seen with the introductory class.
Yeah.
So that was the key for me as well, because I didn't want to pay X amount, and I'm like, okay. So I
So
feel
this
like
it's interesting, because this is something I talk about, and I think I mentioned it earlier on, that good trainers focus on giving so much value, and the whole idea is you lead with so much value based on certain principles that I believe in: law of sowing and reaping, the law of reciprocity, causation, cause and effect. If you lead with value, give, then your customers will feel more obliged to work with you, because the question is, if I came to a free event which this person has put on and it cost them lots and lots of money, and they give me so much, imagine what it would be like when I actually pay them.
exactly.
And that's how I try and pride myself, in terms of, let me just give every single thing away, and then I leave it to this person to say, hey, do you know what, let's work with TJ and let's see.
I think that's one thing I really like. Not to make your head any bigger.
No, please go ahead.
I think with TJ, what I like is like your accessibility, especially when it comes to timing. So with me, I'm like, okay, he says start at 10 o'clock, finish at 6 o'clock. But TJ's the kind of person where he'll stay behind. If you've got questions, he'll go back over it with you. But even with the introductory class, that we could ask questions, we were free to just ask whatever we wanted, and you gave us literally value each time you asked the question. And it's that accessibility where you don't hold anything back. It was like, okay, all right.
I can trust this person.
Yeah.
So you guys paid me some money. Yeah, it wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't cheap.
yeah. It wasn't cheap. But would you say it's been worth it?
Yes.
100%.
1,000.
Yeah?
Like
100%.
I wouldn't even I wouldn't think that I'd be saying this. Like Ezekiel knows me. Like
yeah.
he knows me. Like it was worth it. It really was.
Yeah?
Like genuinely,
Yeah,
because
it was.
I came into SA in terms of your class, the one that we paid for.
Yes.
Not really having such a wide understanding as Ezekiel did.
Yeah.
But then it was like in the class, I understood. It was almost as if it was like basics as well.
Yeah.
So it helped people like me that didn't really know a lot about property, and now I'm actually in it. So it's like, he's the
So
guy.
I am the guy. So that sounds crazy to me. So you didn't know much about the strategy. You came to a paid training. You had a better understanding about it, and then you both said to each other, "Oh my God, we've paid some money for this. We've got to get serious, and we've got to do something about it." So that led you to getting a property in Birmingham. So you've got a 1-bed in Birmingham. You're getting bookings in Birmingham. You're making money in Birmingham. So keeping true to TJ's nature, it's always important to tell people about things that happen in your serviced accommodation.
Yep.
So during the training, we spent a good chunk of time talking about parties, frauds,
Yeah.
escorts, and issues that will go wrong. So I don't hide it and I don't say, hey, these might go wrong.
Yeah.
I say this will happen to you,
Yeah.
but it's important to know that they're going to happen to you.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise when it does happen.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you've had an incident where you've had a party
Yeah.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah. So
What happened?
I want everyone to just to really listen to what he's just said. He said it was going to happen to you. Bearing in mind, we've only been live for what, 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
And it's already happened to us.
Yeah.
So yeah, essentially we had a party where a guest booked for 2 nights or 1 night, sorry. And yeah, he came over with his whatever
Entourage, yeah.
and they basically just done what partiers do. They just left the place in a mess. There was throw up on the bed. There was cups all over the place. I think for us,
In and outside the property.
yeah. So literally in the apartment and in the lobby
Yeah.
of when you walk into the main block. So I think the main thing for us was the fact that it wasn't our cleaner that told us about this. It
Yeah.
was actually the following guest.
Yeah.
So she had come into the obviously the block. And she had seen that there was cups. Luckily, obviously,
Is it the red cups?
the red
The red
cups.
cups.
The
The
red
red
cup.
cups.
Yeah,
red
yeah, the
cups.
red party cup.
So she had come in and said, "Oh, this is a bit weird. There's glass on the floor, and then there was cups on some of the stairs and under where the mailboxes are." So she took pictures and sent that to us and said, "Look, this is what I've walked into." Obviously, the apartment was clean, thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of just we obviously thought cups. Luckily, I had actually been at the apartment that day he checked in because we had a lamp that wasn't delivered on time.
Okay.
So we brought it I brought it up to install it, whatever. So we asked our cleaner, was there any evidence for parties? Yes. Then that's when she told us everything. The cups, the alcohol,
The vomit.
The vomit.
And at this point, I was distraught.
Vomit is one of my favorite parts of this business. I'll tell you the truth. Again, this is something I tell people all the time. I've had incidences when I used to clean my own service accommodation
Yeah.
Can't believe you've
where
done that.
someone literally pooed next to the toilets.
I remember this story.
Oh yeah,
I remember this story.
Like they must have really hated
Just
it.
to
Was
spite you.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a Spanish
Yeah.
guest, and
Yeah.
I didn't allow them to check in early because I was still cleaning my apartment. So I had to run up and down, and I cleaned the entire apartment, but there was a stench. So I always clean the bathroom last because I go into the shower and clean inside the shower, and then step out, dry my feet, and then clean and leave.
Yeah.
And as I walked into the small, tiny bathroom, it just stunk so bad. So I flushed the toilet, left the lid on, flushed the toilet, thinking maybe whatever's in there is gone. And the smell was still there. Cleaning the floor, and I just saw a big pile of human, maybe like a baby human poo, literally just there on the floor as a parting gift.
That's rude.
Yeah, it's actually very, very
That's rude.
disrespectful.
Very disrespectful.
Absolutely.
Did you charge them for that? Did you take?
Did you take a deposit?
Yeah, we did.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So you mentioned you
Yep.
had a deposit as well.
Yeah, so we had the deposit in place. They didn't get that back. I think it's a good deterrent because I think he assumed that because he messaged us after and he was like, surely this is not. It can't be £250 to
Worth of damage.
I said that's not the
No,
point.
no,
mate.
no, no. First of all, he was like, "Thank you so much for letting me stay in your wonderful apartment. Here are my account details."
It's a no, mate.
And then
Not
he
gonna
goes,
happen.
"Surely it's just a clean." After we had contacted Booking.com saying we're taking the deposit, and then he was like, "Surely it's just a clean." And I thought the
not
fact that you
surely
didn't
just
have the
a clean.
decency to, you knew what you were doing. You're being
Yeah.
cheeky. But I was actually asking you if you paid,
What?
if you took the deposit from the Spanish guy that.
Oh, I don't remember. I probably did.
Okay.
I probably would have, and that deposit would have been in the hundreds because I would have charged them for the trauma. Yeah,
The trauma
yeah, the
alone.
trauma just by itself. So you've had that incident.
Yeah.
The fact is, you will have more incidents, but you will be prepared for those incidents. Now, the issue a lot of people have is because they don't know that issues happen. Especially people who are new to business. They think everything's going to be rosy. They don't know that things are going to happen. So when they have the first incident, it throws them off.
Yeah.
But for you guys, you're telling me that your next goal is to scale up.
Yeah.
Like, didn't that kind of put you off and say, do you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want any more service accommodation. Or it's actually pushed you forward to say, hey, do you know what, I want to take on more units.
Yeah, it pushed me forward in a sense that okay, we need a better system in place. We need to vet our cleaner, let her know exactly what we want in terms of like our standards and stuff like that. It made me just want to get better systems and, you know, go harder. It didn't determine.
So you guys seem to know what you want from this.
Yeah.
So what's the goal then? Because, okay, you've got one in the first month of your training. What's the goal now?
So I think our goal was literally to at least one a month.
Okay.
So that was that. Yeah, but that's kind of changed, I think. So I think.
Are you behind at the moment?
No, not behind. No, we are behind. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Because we're in February now.
February now. Yes,
Okay.
we should have one back. But yeah, no, I think we're looking to do one every 2 months,
Okay.
and then have then do like three more in the area.
Yeah.
And then try and find somewhere else or another area. But
So you want to have a system in place and have teams in place and have more units in Birmingham.
Yeah.
So you want to be recognised in that area
That's right.
as go-to people
That's
in
right.
that area.
That's right.
And your strategy is once you have a few in there, you build it. It's like an ecosystem
Exactly.
that runs itself, and then you want to go and explore another area
Yeah.
and just scale up and scale up.
Scale up.
So
Yeah.
I want to say something, because a lot of people say, I want to get into property.
Yeah.
And what I teach people is an opportunity to get into property,
Yeah.
but it costs money.
yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you guys are super rich or saying you guys have £1 million, but did you have to strain yourself? And be honest, did you have to strain yourself to not comfortably, but was it comfortable paying me thousands of pounds to learn how to do this? Or did you have to strain yourself? Not even financially, I'm talking about in the mind.
No, it wasn't comfortable.
It wasn't comfortable.
No,
Yeah?
It wasn't comfortable, but I think what kind of softened the blow or the blow.
Yeah,
The blow.
There was a blow. There was a
Soften the
blow.
blow. Yeah, it would just be the fact that we knew we were going to make it work.
Yeah.
And we already had that. It doesn't matter what happened. We're coming out and we're going to make this thing work.
The reason I ask that question is because this is a debate I have with people all the time. People say, TJ, if you're so rich, if you're so wealthy, which I've never claimed to be, I'm just kind of doing all right. But if people say, if you're so rich and you genuinely want to help people, why don't you give this entire training for free? And I spend my time arguing with people for a number of reasons. Number one, I'm in business. Number two, I've got family and staff and people to feed. Number three, I had to learn these things and I'm happy to share them with you so you don't make the same sort of mistake. And I'm giving you an opportunity to make money for yourself and go off and change your life. And I'm not asking for anything on that. Do you believe it's fair for me or other people to charge for the quality of the training that you have received?
I think it's fair. And I think it's fair not just because of the reasons you mentioned, but just for you personally, if you have some sort of mindset, or I guess, mindset in your mind just saying, look, I've paid £2,000 for this. This is not about to go to waste.
Exactly.
I can't be here spending £2,000 and be doing nothing.
Yes.
Then you would automatically just begin to, even if it's one call a week, you will begin to make some sort of movement towards getting your first unit.
Yeah. So I wanted to find out from you guys about something that a lot of people struggle with, and it's the idea of investing in yourself. So we all watch YouTube videos, we all spend some time maybe educating ourselves, maybe reading 1 or 2 books, but not all the time or not often do we put money down and say, hey, I don't know this, can you teach me this? How important would you say that is?
It's very important, I think, because if you were to obtain something for free, you won't value it, and therefore you won't value yourself. Whereas if you pay for something like a training course, you know you've put the money in, you've got to put the work in now, unless you're to waste.
Was this the first time you've invested in a training course for yourself?
Ever.
Yeah?
So it was, we were apprehensive at first, but then it made us think, do you know what? We've got to make it work.
So, do you know what? That makes me really happy, because many times people's first experience is terrible. So now I know it sounds crazy, because you've done it and it's worked out for you, it means in a kind of backwards way, you are more likely to invest again in yourself, because you've seen if you get the right person or the right information, it can potentially help you grow.
Definitely.
Yeah?
I was going to say, because the level of information you get when you pay for something is different from when it's free. Yeah. So it's information that you need to start a successful business, in my opinion.
Cool. I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go.
I actually think, yes, I agree. Like, I think the closest thing anyone has, I guess, to for paying for any level of education, or the one that most people can relate to, is university. Now, the difference with university is that, well, at least in the UK, it's not actually coming out of your bank account. So you're paying that, well, the government's paying £9,000, then obviously you pay it over a period. Yeah. So but the thing is that what I'm not people is that because the £9 isn't coming out of their account, there's a level of unseriousness behind it now. And people who have paid for their own degree, that's £9K out of their own pocket, and they're not playing around. They don't mess around because they know, listen, this £9K wasn't.
I had to sweat for it.
Yeah, because you know what, you're right. There's a big difference between future money and current money. Current money means I've worked for it. So essentially what you're saying is, I've gone to work and now I'm going to give that money to someone and I'm going to take a risk that what they teach me is actually going to help me or change my life. Whereas with university money, for example, you've got 4 or 5 years to find your feet. You can take your time and you pay it back monthly by monthly over the next 100 years.
When you earn
once you hit a certain amount. So no, I'm really excited to see how far you guys go. I'm confident you guys are going to be one of my superstars, and I'm not saying that because you guys are here. I'm just saying that based on the results that we've seen in a short space of time. And if you carry on in this trajectory, you're probably going to hit that 1 a month, if not even 2 a month, and probably start growing on there. So you guys also learn deal packaging as well now. So with deal packaging, so the thing what I love about what you guys are doing is, without the deal packaging training, you guys already snapped up a unit and you're already working on other units as well. Now with the deal packaging, I see how it's going to push you to the next level a lot quicker. You were just mentioning a second ago that you liked today's training, the deal packaging training. Why was that?
Because I felt like I understood. Hearing about deal packaging beforehand, it was quite daunting because I thought calling estate agents and things like that, it was quite scary. But when you're actually in the business, you realise it's pretty much, deal packaging, let's say, pretty much interchangeable. Like you can't really do one without the other because you're gonna have to source a deal for yourself, or for your company. And the method that you taught today in terms of find a unit for yourself, and if you don't like it, pass it on. Meaning that it's not a whole separate entity, but it's something you can actually add on to your business and give it an extra leg or an extra arm, and an extra source, an extra stream.
No, it's absolutely spot on. So what I say in the training with regards to deal packaging, you've got 2 options. You can either run it as an entire business, or you can add it as an additional business to your service accommodation business. So the whole idea is you're running service accommodation as your core strategy. That's where you intend to make your money. That's where you make your 400, 500, 1,000 pound a month. And then the aim of the game is, if you're in that, if you're working to build your service accommodation business, it means you're already speaking to landlords, you're already speaking to agents, you're already building relationships with these people. Once in a while, you might come across an excess deal. Once in a while, you might come across a deal that's not in your patch or in your area. And you say, well, I don't want this specific one. Let me sell it on to somebody and let me make 1,000, 2,000 or 3,000 pounds per month. What I'm trying to teach people with this specific strategy is, all you've got to do is carry on doing your service accommodation, and then you sell 1 deal extra per month. That's an incredible way to triple your income straight away.
It's funny because how we got our current unit was actually basically through this method, because they actually operate service accommodation in Birmingham already, but they didn't have the flexibility to take on this particular unit, so they passed it on.
Because it's interesting, you mentioned that, and I love that you've experienced it. So you were happy to pay someone a fee for a number of reasons, because you said, I don't have the time, or I don't know what to do or how to say it, and you wanted to get started straight away. So you guys can see firsthand that people make money, because you paid money, people make money from trading deals. Now you guys know how to start trading deals as well, so you're like, I've got to recruit
my
money.
No-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. I need to start doing this myself. So I'm really excited about that. If you wanted to, how many deals do you reckon, or how many deals would you like to be doing potentially every single month in terms of trading and sourcing on deals? How many would you like to do a month?
I'd say 3.
3 deals. 3 deals charging around 2k per month. That's a 6k income. What about you?
Double that, so 6.
There's going to be beef in the household. So we're looking at potentially, as I said, if things go according to how we want it to go, you could, let's even say we land on half of that. So 6 deals, 3 deals. So what's that? Half of that.
Let's say 4.
4 deals.
4 deals a month. 4 deals a month is a potential income of, at 2k a deal, £8,000 per month, alongside your serviced accommodation. This is the idea of a financial breakthrough. That's the idea of financial freedom for me.
Yeah.
And it means you're not trapped in the business. Because we talk about your service accommodation, the reality is this, and I'm not saying this for hype, and correct me if I'm wrong, because we want total honesty here. How many hours per week are you spending on running your serviced accommodation business? In fact, don't answer it yet. I want to try and get you guys to answer it at the same time. And you might say different figures, but then we'll average it. So when I count to 3, I want to know roughly how many hours per week you think you are spending on your serviced accommodation business. 1, 2, 3, go.
8.
More than 10.
So 8, 10.
Yeah.
8 hours per week.
Yeah.
And what does that consist of?
Responding to
responding
to emails.
Communicating with the cleaner.
Yeah.
Maybe returning deposits.
So it's more administrative
It's
stuff that you're
admin
doing.
stuff,
Yeah. So many people, they say, I want to get into SA, but it sounds so difficult. It sounds so busy.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if you know the systems and you put things in place,
Yeah.
you can operate a service accommodation business from hours away. And the next level I want you guys to get to is, instead of hiring staff, is getting a virtual assistant. So once you get the virtual assistant, that 8 hours can then go down to 2 hours, and that 2 hours is just overseeing the business, so you can focus on deal packaging and get into that 8K a month income, and then you can focus on service accommodation and get into 3, 4, 5 service accommodation deals per month, because it's all doable. It's absolutely all doable. Is it easy? Absolutely not. Will it challenge you? Of course it will. But it's often the people that are challenged that do something about it. I think it was, I can't remember who said it, maybe it was Iron Man. I'm going to use Iron Man as a credible reference. He said something about, it's often the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world that often change the world.
I think that was Iron Man.
Was it Iron Man?
Sounds like
I feel like that was Iron Man.
Yeah, it's probably Iron Man. Yeah. See, I know my movies.
I think
it's
I think
definitely
the
a Marvel
only
film, actually.
Yeah.
But I think the hard part in terms of running an essay that's not in your area was basically the startup. So the beginning,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
especially because we didn't have the money for a whole furnishing company and things like that.
Yeah.
Luckily, we were the bed was included, so we had to buy a bed. We had to get a sofa bed, carpet. We had to basically furnish it ourselves. That meant driving to Birmingham, going to different shops, but it was great because we became acquainted with the area ourselves. So it was amazing because we were hungry. We went to Nando's, we went to B&M. We found Broad Street, found Grand Central Station.
And you knew where everything was. So let's be totally honest. That part has probably been the most stressful part of the journey so far. So next time when you're taking on a unit, there are things that you might consider, which is maybe trying to get a furnished property if you can. If not, maybe using a furniture rental or leasing company. But this is what I love, because as much as I can say, hey, service accommodation is great, as much as I can teach you this stuff, you're only going to learn it once you're in it. And you guys are in it now. Are there any regrets so far?
No.
No? Even though you've paid money for this?
Paid money, mistakes, all of it. Worth it.
Cool. So what's a 12-month goal?
The 12-month goal
Yeah.
is, I currently work. I want to be out of work by the end of 12 months.
Okay.
So
you know what? Interesting. Let's come back to that, actually. Don't forget what you're about to say. So you're currently working at the moment?
Yeah.
Full-time, part-time?
Full-time.
Full-time, part-time?
Oh, I work from home.
Amazing. So you're working a full-time job at the moment?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Did you not?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Because one of the reasons I wanted to do this video is I want to show off that TJ's the best. I don't hide that. But I want to remove this idea in people's heads of, I can't do property because it requires the time and the effort, because it's all excuses. It's all excuses. And just hearing that now, so you are running your service accommodation business hours away, and you have a full-time job. How are you coping? Are you sleeping? Are you surviving?
I'm surviving.
You sure you're all right?
Yeah, I'm very well.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. So, what is your 12-month goal?
Yeah, so literally, I work, and I just literally want to be at a place where, I guess financial freedom is kind of the 12-month goal, I guess, where the business is just literally covering all our expenses and then some. I think, just being able to cover all our expenditure from month to month that's my goal for 12 months.
What about you? So did you guys officially, and it's quite symbolic, you guys officially started in January? So 12 months, we're looking at, you did your
wow.
training, yeah? Oh, you guys never thought
wow.
about this. Yeah? So you guys did your training around 7th of December with me, or 14th of December. 14th of December. You got your first unit in January, and you have a 12-month goal to be out of work and financially free in 12 months. So this time next year, we're going to be sitting here, or maybe in my bigger office.
Bigger office, yes.
We're going to be in a bigger office, and you guys are going to be doing another interview, and you're going to be telling people that you've hit that 12-month goal, and you're going to bring in your resignation letter and hold it up to the camera and saying, ha, done, dusted. You work full-time at the moment, and you want to get out of full-time employment. Is that because you don't like your job, or you just want to spend more time with your family and your wife?
Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not one of them people that hate work. I love work. My job, I actually very much enjoy.
Just in case his boss sees this video.
No, I love my boss. He's awesome. But no, my job, I actually enjoy my job. My job is really fun. It's what I want to do. It's media based, and I just enjoy it. The primary reason isn't just to come out of work because I don't like it. It's really just because, like you said, obviously we're having a child, and I want to spend more time with my family. I want to have the flexibility and the freedom.
That is so cute, because a lot of people go to work so that they don't have to spend time with their spouses and their family. But you mentioned something interestingly. So your wife is actually pregnant.
Yep.
So you are how many months pregnant?
7.
7 months pregnant. So you guys kind of need this to work.
It better
work. So it better work. You guys need this to work. You've got to scale up, because you're going to have a child soon. So it means you're not going to have much time to spend in this business, which is why I'm excited to hear what you guys are saying in terms of you're doing 8 to 10 hours odd per week right now. So we got to get things in place so you can spend less time on the business, but also grow the business. So you guys are already putting systems in place, because you know sooner rather than later, boy or girl. Do you know who's a boy or girl?
Not saying.
You know that secret, yeah.
I was close again.
I still don't get all that little stuff that people do, the little, what's it called?
Gender reveal.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Are you doing it?
I'm excited. I'm doing it.
I find it so funny. Did you already know?
Yeah, but no one else knows.
But you know.
Yeah.
So why do you have to pretend you're surprised when they pop the balloon and it's blue and it's pink?
Oh, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not going to act.
Oh, okay.
I want to see my reaction.
Okay. Yeah, but people know it's going to be a boy or a girl.
Yeah, but it could be a boy or a girl.
See, so
Well, I'm so excited. I'm really excited, because it seems like, everything's just falling in place for you guys. And if we continue the way everything's going, it seems like it could be a phenomenal year for you, financially, for the family, and a good welcome for the baby as well. Yeah?
I'm way more pessimistic, so I'm just like...
Cool. So you're I like this. You're a bit more pessimistic.
Yeah, I'm just like, let's calm down.
Yeah, let's not get super excited.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm an optimist. I think you guys can take over the entire world. Yeah. But that's the best place to be, because if you're so optimistic to the point that you sound absolutely crazy, you're going to hit at least half of the goals. Yeah. At least half.
True.
And the good thing that I like, especially when I work with partners, is no one is going to let anyone get away with anything. If you've got these goals and he's saying, I'm tired, you're like, no, I've got a baby coming soon. We need more units. You want to quit your job, we need more units. And I think that's so crucial and that's so important. And it's so good to see your relationship. I see you guys, you're smiling, you're laughing together, and you're actually in business together. Do you guys want to kill each other sometimes, or do you agree when it comes down to your property business?
That's
the answer right there.
I think because we're so different, sometimes I feel like, listen, you're just doing too much. Like, reel it in, take it in. like Ezra will be searching on his laptop at like 3 a.m. and I'm like, sleep, go to sleep. But then I'm like, do you know what? It pays off, because there are things like Keynest, there are things like he understands Logify back to front, Booking.com, that I didn't do, that he's done, and it's pushed us like.
And that's maybe because of his personality type, in terms of he wants to have all the information, and that's what's going to allow you to hit those financial freedom goals and not be at work or spend more time with the family as well. So I love that. Is there anything else you want to say to the audience? Is there anything else you want them to know about you? Is there anything else you want to tell them about your services? You guys are deal packages now.
Yep.
So you're going to be selling deals. If people want serviced accommodation or rent-to-rent deals, they can reach out to you, and I'll put your email address in there as well.
Instagram OKOMA Apartments.
Okay, sorted. Sorted.
That is OKOMA Apartments.
Apartments. They didn't want to get that wrong at all.
No way.
And also, if you are looking for serviced accommodation in Birmingham, they can reach out to you using the same Instagram, and we can put your email address there as well.
Yep.
I'm sure I'm putting you guys under the bus here. If someone comes through me and says, "Hey, I watched your interview with TJ," you guys might be able to offer them £1 or £2 discount. Yeah,
Yeah.
£2 discount.
Of course.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for having us.
I hope you guys.
Follow
My pleasure.
OKOMA. EZUGO. OKOMA.
Are you doing your personal Instagram?
He's doing it first, so he wants to shout out.